I feel like Anna on that dam in Frozen 2, she's running and she's like about to try to jump off of it, and can she make it? I like that.
I know, she's wanting to give me a hug because she knows I feel so bad. I feel like that guy, Jean-Claude Van Damme, what are we doing in this house? Beautiful guy. So I'm gonna pass that question off to you. Should we or should we not sell our house or take it off the market? Or
I wanna call Dave Ramsey right now and ask him. I'm not good at this, setting it up. I'm gonna zoom it in a little. There, how's that? Is that better?
That's the Cullen style method.
Okay, all right.
Nothing better than a budget meeting within a budget meeting that you don't need to have. Or, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I'm not sure where you're going with that.
It was a budget meeting, and we weren't supposed to have a budget meeting until the first of the month. But we had to have one early for other reasons.
For other reasons, but you also have to plan ahead. Our last budget meeting we had before the 1st. You don't have it like on the 1st.
But I feel like we got like 5 days.
We don't. February is really short.
I wait till the last minute to write my essays.
Oh my goodness. We've got literally, today's Wednesday and Friday is the 28th and March 1st is Sunday. Probably payments and stuff. I don't know how that works with the banks and junk being closed on Sunday. Like, does that mean we're gonna get paid on Friday? I don't know. I just wanted to be prepared so this money didn't come on in and so that we could figure out what we're gonna do about our mortgage and our house. However.
So we respond and don't react.
Exactly.
I'm learning.
So that we tell it where to go instead of it telling us where to go. Hey, welcome to the
what's up, guys?
Vlogcast. I'm Katie.
I'm Cullen. Nice to meet you.
If there's any new ones of y'all still joining us, that's who we are, and we're glad to have you here. I would be interested to know how everybody is still feeling about these videos, and we were just talking about like what we were going to talk about today, and Cullen said,
I don't care how people feel about these videos.
I just want to know what they think. It's kind of like I said, I think I said this in my podcast. I was like, I mean, I'm still going to do what I want to do, but sometimes I just like to hear if there's something we could change or improve. I was saying, Cullen was
granted,
like,
don't take that wrong. Like, I love your comments and stuff, but
I
don't want like.
Well, we're just not saying we're going to totally change our thing, but what Cullen was saying is he thinks it's getting kind of boring just talking about the finances, and I'm like, this is really exciting.
I think I'm just like in a different mindset right now as far as all that goes, because I was like, whoa, hang on, you're catching me off of like 4 days early here. I needed a couple days to prepare for this, and then we sat down and had a little budget meeting, and I'm like,
so I felt this morning and last night and yesterday, I felt really strongly about like, we just need to take a break, stress out just so we can afford this house that we don't need all this space.
Yeah, no, it's not even fun to live here.
No, like it's just, that's not the point in life, you know? Well, when it gets to the point, I get so excited about doing, like once it gets to the point where all the bills are coming in and I can see how much they're gonna be, and I know like what needs to go where and everything, I can go ahead and write it in for the next month. I'm like, let's get this done.
No, yeah, it is great to.
But we also needed to figure it out as the business owners when we needed to pay ourselves, like if we needed to do 2 payments or like how we were gonna do it. Had a little budget meeting and we didn't film some of it because I had said on the business side, it was just kind of confusing and we're trying to be better. It's like been a huge learning experience. We've literally only been doing this for a month and we've learned a lot in that time. And I feel like even at this point, when we started the budget meeting last January, we were just kind of like, I don't know what needs to be paid or what's coming up or what's gonna be paid. So I've tried to like make notes of things that are going through. So we subtract out the $3,000 for the mortgage and like, we're having a meeting. Minus $98.32 for our water bill. Minus the power bill is $213.14. Minus the tithe is $411. Car insurance $155.08. Minus minimum payment on the MasterCard. That's like no spending basically on anything other than the pets and miscellaneous prescriptions and
no spending and no
like literally no buying things.
Debt, really.
Right. And we've learned a lot in that time, and I feel like even at this point, when we started the budget meeting last January, we were just kind of like, I don't know what needs to be paid or what's coming up or what's gonna be paid. We're trying to be prepared so that we will know in the next couple of months where our finances need to be, where our income needs to be, because previously, like we had told y'all in January, we had several payments that were coming through from like November and December that we knew we were coming in, and sometimes that would happen, and then you'll have like a lull of like no brands going on for a month. Then all of a sudden, come 2 months from then, you're like, oh crap, we don't have any money. But like we can be prepared for that now and know how much we need to get. So we had kind of like a current meeting and then a future 2 to 3 month planning meeting.
Which is very good. Like there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's actually probably the most adult thing we've done in the past 2 years.
Well, and I think the thing too is though, I've sat down and done it before, but we've never done it together. And that's where Dave Ramsey's like, you have to be on the same page.
Right.
And then the nerd person will be like, well, but like he doesn't really want to hear about it, and it doesn't, you know. I feel like I've told you before, like, okay, we're good through May 15th, but after that, we're gonna have to get some more income from somewhere. You're like, okay.
I think it's more stressful for me right now because I'm finally seeing it all, and it's just like overwhelming.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just not say anything, or if I do say something to you and you're like, okay, well, we'll figure it out, then I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll figure it out.
Not only have we been doing that for this past month, but we've also had, I was just pulling that up and I got you distracted, 19 total showings?
19 showings on our house and 2 open houses in the past month. In
that time frame of
or 6 weeks
trying to
so.
get our budget and paying off 13,000, 17,000, whatever the total was yesterday.
17,833.
On top of that, yeah, we've had all that just like in the middle of the day, at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 4:30 in the afternoon, right when the kids are, you know, like just because we leave it wide open as far as the showing time goes. And there was lots of good feedback on the video yesterday about, or 2 days ago about that, as far as requesting 24-hour notice. And that kind of was like what we're trying to figure out, I think, was the main purpose
point of this whole budget meeting.
Yeah.
Well, and plus like the budget stuff in the beginning, figuring it out, and multiple people said this when we had our first budget meeting that took forever, is like in the beginning, the first few months, it's gonna take a significant like portion of time to sit down, look at it all. Like even for February, it took me less time to look at all the expenses and like all the bills that go through every month and all of that, because I knew from the previous month, and I was starting from scratch in January. But I can imagine by like April, I'm like, okay, I know every month this and this and this and this, and I know where to go to look for it and where to, you know, all of that. So I think that part will get easier. But you think about like that taking up additional hours on top of being pulled showings and all that. And plus somebody had mentioned in a comment too, just totally readjusting our whole mindsets of how we're living and spending and going to the grocery store and not going out to eat and like just all that, changing all that right in the middle of this otherwise for by itself selling your house chaotic situation.
I feel like I'm like detoxing or something, just like dragged.
But I also feel a little bit,
but not really, but you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, not detoxing actually from any substances, but detoxing from the emotional highs and lows.
Yeah.
Like emotional detox, but with a sense of not having a freaking clue where it's going, which is stressful for me. I have a hard time with that, not knowing, like not being able to plan and all that stuff. Like you were saying, the reason we kind of were like, okay, we've got to sit down and figure out the finances for the next month or two. After yesterday's video and us just talking and like the literal emotional drain we feel right now, we're like, do we take our house off the market for a couple months, do a couple of like updates and things? So
we're trying to figure out like if we could even afford to do updates, if we could afford to take our house off the market.
If we could afford to even leave it on the market or take it off the market or whatever. But I think, okay, so some of the questions that were in the comments, because I think there may be some people that weren't here when we first talked about selling our house, and I'm not gonna go into that whole thing, but we originally listed our house in July of last year, and we did have an offer on it in the end of October. They had to sell their house in order for them to buy our house. They did not sell their house in time, and that contract fell through the end of December. During that time, obviously when you have a contingency on your house or like a pending sale, you're not gonna get much traffic. We were still kind of trying to promote because it didn't seem like they were gonna be able to sell their house. But in the whole period of time, July to December, we just really didn't have nearly the amount of interest we have now. Like we've said, we originally way overpriced it. So we had way less interest and marketing and all of that stuff. So end of December, we switched realtors took it off the market for a couple weeks and relisted it. We probably should have left it off the market for 30 days so it would reset itself as a new listing, because it still kind of shows that it's been on the market since July. But we just financially didn't have time. Like, we needed to sell it, which obviously it hasn't sold. But we've
come way off the price.
We've come way off the price, but we've had way more interest.
Yes.
With our new realtors, and way more just like eyes on it and everything else. But we have dropped the price a freaking crap ton. And people have asked, have you not gotten feedback from the showings? Like, why are people not deciding? Yeah, that's another thing
I wanted to address. Yeah,
we have had feedback, and sometimes it's just a matter of people being like, we looked at this house and a house in a different neighborhood, and we chose that neighborhood. Or we were looking at this house in a new construction house, and we chose the new construction house.
And that's another defeating aspect to all this, is like, we are around a lot of new construction over here. And
the new construction of houses in this price range,
it's taken over.
It was not here when we bought it.
Right.
So
in the last 2 years, it's just boomed.
I don't know if it's taken away from our property value or like the value of this house, because when we bought, there weren't nearly as many houses in this price range in the area. Now there's a bunch of new ones, which a lot of people are looking for. That's kind of the general feedback. You can take half those showings and they're either that, or they're people who were like, oh, we were just kind of looking, we wanted to see, we weren't really interested.
Well, and a lot of people have said in the comments too, and something that we've noticed and realized, our last open house did pretty well as far as traffic. The people that do come to look at a house in this price range are not us. They're more responsible and more picky and more reasonable with their thought process and their time, and they're planning ahead 3 or 4 months and getting the utility costs of a 6-month period, and
stuff that we're like, oh, we probably should have done that before we bought this
doing
house.
A lot of research before making such a huge investment, instead of just going, oh, let's go, we got the money.
But with our house in general, as far as like what could we do to help it sell better, the feedback we have received has been, it's like several just like little things here and there that one person may care about and the next person may not. Like, we do know that we do not have updated like appliances in our kitchen.
The
fridge is new, and the cooktop is new, but some people want like a gas cooktop, or they want a new oven that's not as old as this one, which it works fine, it's just older. So that is something that we've put into our like description of, you know, we're willing to work with somebody on an allowance for that type of stuff, because we saw people mention that in the comments too. To some people that doesn't matter, and it's just a factor of like, they don't like the arrangement of the bedrooms, or they wish that there was more space in the yard, which that's why we worked on clearing out a bunch of space.
I mean, not a lot, but there's been people that said like, this is too much house. They have that reasonable thought process of like, this is gonna be a lot to take care of.
Yeah, like I don't want a house this
And our thought process was like, we're getting more for our money because it's such a big house.
Yeah.
You know, and so they're thinking about it of like just the massive aspect versus bang for your buck, which is what we should have done.
Yeah.
I just go up in these emotions of like,
being pissed off and being like, well, it's fine, we just made the decision we made. But I think as far as, because people are like, have you not gotten feedback? Like, what's the deal? And that's been the kind of frustrating part to us too, is we've had 19 individual requested families come through, but then on top of the open house people, so probably 30 families come through here and nobody's bought it. And it's not that there's any overarching like major issue. I think our thought of, in general, even taking it off the market and relisting it in a couple months is, if we were to do that, the point would be so that we could work on...
breathe.
Yeah, so that we could breathe, first of all, emotionally and mentally, but also so that we could work on maybe doing a couple of the little small updates. Even the things we've done along the way though, like you painted the bathroom upstairs, we tore out like a ton of crap in the backyard.
And that's what's another thing that's so frustrating, is like these people that give these little detailed knick-knack things. You should have seen it when we moved in here, and then I kicked myself because I'm like, why did we move in here when it looked as awful
like, why
as it
did we pay what we did for it? And we're now, I mean, we're listing it at this point for less than we bought it for.
Less than it's appraised for.
Less than it's appraised for, and all of that. Not necessarily less than what we owe on it, because we've lived here for almost 3 years, so we have some equity in it, plus we had a down payment on it and all that stuff. People have mentioned, why don't you do a short sale? At this point, that isn't something that we would need to consider, because, you know, we do still have some equity in it.
People have mentioned, and we talked about this on the Don't Tell Mom podcast a little bit, my sister did open house in North Carolina.
Open door.
Open door, and they don't offer that here.
We looked into it, I was like,
too.
oh my God, that'll be amazing. They don't have that. We don't have Zillow offers here either. Somebody mentioned that, and that is not in our area yet either. So that's when we did the budget. We were like, let's look and see, you know, if we take it off the market, let's maybe just stay here for a couple more months. And then it's like, we're gonna be like just cutting it so close because of this dang mortgage payment. But if we leave it on the market, we also can't guarantee it's gonna sell there either. You know, like
our chances are greater. Our
chances are obviously greater, but are they greater when you take it off the market and let it like refresh as a brand new listed?
Yeah.
Because people see it as being listed for 8 months and it's like, oh dang, there must be something wrong with that house. No, we're just idiots and we way overpriced it in the beginning because we were just like not in a rush and we're like, well, let's just see what happens. You know, we added this nice new bathroom and we've painted all the rooms. That definitely adds $10,000. I want to get out there and like tear up the yard and let's lay some sod ourselves or do some things. Like as I see the yard, I'm like, good gracious, this is a huge backyard. Like why haven't we cleared out more of these trees and stuff sooner? But you also don't want to start a project like that and be in the middle of it and have somebody want to come look at your house. Like if we want to do some of these bigger projects, one, we got to figure out money. Like, do you pause the snowball? Do you pause the paying off of debt in order to cash flow things like this to help you sell your home?
To invest into the equity of the house to get the house sold. Yeah, I mean,
to get it sold. Should we call Dave Ramsey? What time is it?
It's like our mindset.
He's on air right now.
Like, yeah, maybe we should. Our mindset is just like so flippy floppy because we get on this like get current chart and we're like busting ass to sell stuff on Facebook and make it get current, and now we're like,
and it's like, well, yeah, we're current.
No, yeah, and it still just feels so defeating in the long scheme of things because it's like we can't even snowball anything else, and then do we take our house off the market? We need to have a heart-to-heart with our realtor and then figure out what the...
And get their recommendation.
Their personal opinion, because, and I mean, I would just, that seems like so shysty to say, we just want to take it off for a month to let it reset. Y'all come out and take your signs down and fill the holes in and then come back out and put them up in a month, come back out and take new pictures if we get new appliances or whatever the case, which we can't even afford. If we have new sod, you know, and then send another camera guy out here and then I don't know, like that just doesn't seem right.
Well, and in order to cash flow any type of updates or projects that we would do to add value, make the house more presentable, we literally would have to pause all of the no extra money coming in. We would still be needing to like sell things and try to get extra income coming in, but all of that money would need to go towards those things. Is it worth it to do? Like, I don't know. I'm like, I want to call Dave Ramsey right now and ask him. Not that he's just going to answer the phone. I mean, I think you have to like wait. Should we call him?
See if he answers.
See if he answered.
Come on, Allie. I know, she's wanting to give me a hug because she knows I feel so bad.
Oh, Allie, you're so sweet. Basically, we're here in this discussion. I don't know. I feel like part of it was just us answering some questions that people have asked, but it's also along just the lines of like, we're just trying to put our own memories out here for ourselves to remember what our thought process was, what we were going through, let other people, other people, think about some ish before you buy a house.
Ask what 6 months of utilities cost is gonna be. We didn't even do that. Are we
Think
idiots?
About like how much you're...
Should somebody have told us to do that? Because I had no idea you're supposed to do that until we had like several others interested.
I think we just were like, we'll just estimate that it's gonna be a little bit more than it was at our old house.
Well, the people that lived here before us only lived here for 6 months anyway, so they wouldn't have been able to tell us.
That's true.
And I don't think the people before that are living anymore.
Well, and I don't know, I still see it as like, well, I mean, take the house you're in now, look at the square footage, and then up it based on how much house you're going up in, you know? I feel like, well, and it's hard to judge because when I sent the estimates of what our power bill was, I was like, but we keep it at 67 on air conditioning in the summer.
And we
work from home, so all our lights, I mean, we turn other lights off, but our lights and we keep our heat and our air running minimally. Obviously, we're like wearing sweatshirts so we can not keep the heat jacked up too high.
Yeah.
It's not a decent estimate for what it might be for somebody else. So I don't know. I think it's definitely smart, but I'm just saying, like, if you're thinking of buying a house, just think about the fact that if something happens, or if you decide you don't like the house or decide the payment's too much, you're gonna have to go through some crap to get out of that house. Like, I don't want to, it makes me be like, I don't ever wanna buy a house again. I wanna just rent a house for the rest of my life because I don't ever wanna have to deal with selling a house again.
Right.
I don't know, I've seen people say like, what's the deal because it's a seller's market and houses are selling like that. they are in a lower price range. Our house is a $600,000 house. Like, there's not a huge market for people looking to buy in Alabama. I don't know where it is other places, but the average, I think, house price that people are looking at is in the like $200,000 to $300,000 price range. Those are the ones that are going like that are having people like fighting over.
In 48 hours.
Yeah, our last house that we sold for.
Bidding wars, yeah.
It wasn't even listed. We had people come see it the day it was listed, and we had an offer within 24 hours. So I don't know. I think that's part of it too, obviously, in this price range. There's less people. The people who are interested are going to be more particular. So there's a lot of factors to it, and we're just kind of trying to decide financially what we can do or what's the best decision. There is not an option to get ourselves more in the hole. We are not going to like start using our credit cards again. Don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm saying to get ourselves in the hole on not being able to pay more towards the debt that we already have.
Y'all have had great suggestions, but we are also trying to cross any bridge and we're looking at all our options.
You mean cross our T's and dot our I's?
Yeah, and cross all the bridges before we get to them. And even if we're on them and they start to break, we're standing on those bridges too.
I feel like Anna on that dam in Frozen 2, she's running and she's like about to try to jump off of it, and can she make it? She's gonna reach for the other side, and then the dude grabs her. Where's that soldier?
I feel like that guy, Jean-Claude Van Damme, what are we doing in this house?
Just drop the price down to like $400,000 and be like, just take it. Somebody take it.
What would happen if the bank took it?
I was gonna say, like, what do people do?
Like, what would you do?
Do you
like,
just keep waiting and keep the budget just like this every month?
I know we're just like done, I'm just gonna turn on all the friggin' lights, and all the fireplaces, all the bathtubs.
We still have to pay the power bill though.
Oh shit. What would you ask Dave if you had to call him right now?
If I had to call him.
Because he's gonna say, what's your household income, total debt, what's your question?
Well, I guess, I don't know if maybe he would need to know all of that, but basically my question is, we just started baby step 2. We're on the first month. We just finished the first month of it. We've been trying to sell our house for 8 months. We switched realtors, we've done all the things that you're supposed to do. We've had a lot of interest and nobody's bought it. In order to feel like we're gonna actually make some money on the house and not lose money on the house, we feel like there's a few projects that we need to do to help it to sell and updates. In order to do those, we're gonna need to pause the snowball. Do we pause the snowball?
Okay, call him.
What's his number?
1-800-DAVE-RAMSEY, where cash is king and debt is dumb.
That's not the number, but I feel like I should know it off the top of my head because he says it so much.
We logged on to get his number, and it's like, how could you forget his number, like you said? But
825-5225. Once I read it, I was like, oh, I know the answer to that question.
100% free call from anywhere.
Yes, but we got on and he was live.
Well, he wasn't live, but he's out of town. He's out of town.
And we were like, shoot, he's in Australia.
I forgot he was out of town. So Rachel and Chris Hogan were on the show today, which is fine. But we've also been in contact, or somebody reached out to us from the Dave Ramsey show. Runs
like a few weeks ago, or a month ago or so.
Some of their social stuff. So I was like, oh, we should just hit him up and see what.
Like, is there a better time to call? Like, when is a good time to call and all that? So
he said he'll be back Monday, and they're live all week, and we're gonna try to work something out.
Yeah, so hopefully we can call in
getting
at some point next week.
Question answered.
I think the reason that I feel more strongly about asking Dave personally this question more than I would any of the other questions we've had is that this is kind of a different situation than just like, oh, should we sell our car? Because everybody kind of has that question. But he also has done a ton of real estate stuff in general. And so I don't know, I would just be interested to see what he says. I did Google search, and like, you can find his answers to some other people's questions, and there were some similar ones, but they weren't really, like, one of them he ends up telling him to fix the house up, one of them he doesn't, just based on the circumstances. So I don't know, I feel like I couldn't necessarily get like a straightforward, it's just like a hard call right now because nothing is guaranteed. If we fix up some things or do some updates, it's not guaranteed we're gonna sell it. If we leave it on the market, it's not guaranteed we're gonna sell it.
One of the things that you read in one of these answers is like, it's emotionally draining either way you look at it.
Yeah.
Take it off the market and you have to fix stuff up, that's emotionally draining while it's off the market, and then you're not guaranteed it's gonna sell. Or you leave it on the market, that's emotionally draining because you have showings pop up. It was just like, it's emotionally draining.
Comforting though to see Dave call selling a house emotionally draining, because I always feel like I'm being over dramatic when things seem stressful to me, and that it's not justified because like, oh, well, you work from home and you can blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I always just feel like I don't like deserve to be drained or something. And so seeing somebody else say that like, it is emotionally draining to sell a house, not to mention everything else we're doing right now. Okay, thank you for giving me permission that my emotions are validated and okay, so.
If we had it the way looking back on it now, I would much rather be in a financially stable position with our ducks in a row and then decide to sell our house. Not be like, oh crap, we don't have any money, let's get our crap together
and let's just put it on the market.
And yeah, I would do one then the other, not
right.
all of it at the same time. We just came off of like working on our relationship and the addiction issues and then the parenting stuff with the kids.
Kondo.
And our kids are 3 and 5 and Marie Kondo. We've been going through a lot of adjustments lately in our household. So
yes.
yeah, it's been an emotional year. But
it has. And we're definitely thankful. We know other people have it worse. We know other people have it better. We know there's a lot of different situations, and all that is relevant for us right now is that it is what it is for us, and we're dealing with it the best that we can.
So I'm gonna pass that question off to you. Should we or should we not sell our house or take it off the market? Or I was trying to act like Philly D right there. Beautiful.
Should we or should we not take our house off the market and find some money, flow all the cash into doing updates instead of putting the cash towards the snowball, pause the snowball? Or should we just leave it on the market, keep doing what we're doing, keep lowering the price, maybe lose money on it?
Something else that somebody's probably gonna mention or recommend in the comments that I've already done is reach out to some brands that we've worked with in the past about helping update this stuff for service promotion and stuff like that. So that is
if y'all know
options.
anybody that wants to like have us promote their dishwasher,
before and after kitchen reveal.
Anybody do landscaping and you want us to promote your company, we'll be glad to.
Brand new swimming pool. I will belly flop in that thing 500 times in slow-mo.
I thought you were gonna say in a Speedo.
And
that
too. And in the buff. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned. We got the comparison of last year to this year, end of the month coming up, and then stuff in the envelopes.
We're gonna give an update on how much is left from January, what we're putting in for February.
Merch.
Hopefully a call today,
Ramsey.
Coming
we
up
got
soon.
fun stuff coming up. So hit that thumbs up, and we will see what we do.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you freaking out that that battery's been flashing?
Yes.